Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmys and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
Thank you. What's going on, Autos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know show.
It's been a while, buddy.
It has been a while. Yeah, a little bit of a break that we had.
Yeah,
I headed down south, and let me tell you, it is gorgeous down there.
Yeah.
Like, the heat's different, though. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, like, up here, it's crazy because up here, like, I'm always known as a sweater. Like, I sweat a lot, right? So
You're known as the sweater because of your chest hair or something, or just
no,
you sweat a lot?
I sweat a lot.
Oh, okay.
So it's the sweater effect.
sweater.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But up here, I feel like I sweat more.
Yeah?
Down there, the heat is different. So
Huh.
I still sweat,
Yeah.
but it's not like up here for some strange reason. So,
It is
but it is gorgeous down there. Had a great time. Saw some family while I was down there and everything. Some friends. Dusty Riddle, if you're watching, we got linked up and we hung out for the day and everything. That was cool. Caught up there. Other than that, we're back. You know, we're back here. Listen, if you're new to this show, help us grow this football community of ours, and you can do that by very easily heading over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button to let you guys know when we go to lock in your membership there, and also hit that notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. You can also, of course, follow us on Facebook or anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, you name it.
Absolutely. Yeah, Joe. And it's been quiet for a little while, but now, you know, the camps are starting
Training
back up
camp
again,
is right
so
around
here
the
we go.
corner.
And, you know, lo and behold, you know, all the news that we heard over the, you know, the last couple of weeks, too, it was everything that was going on with Saquon Barkley and that stuff. And that finally came to a head after all the nonsense that's been going on. And if we were even talking about, you know, possible holdouts and all that other stuff. And then within all that, you know, because we went and saw the deadline expired to sign the franchise tag.
Right.
But with that and what happened, we saw the Giants make some moves like right after they get out Cole Beasley, you know, who's a veteran wide receiver, good hands, stuff like that. You know, knows the
Solid.
Bills, you know, offense, Daboll's offense to fit in there. But then, you know, James Robinson, you know, a nice little piece to pick up. I thought that was nice to add to that backfield.
Yeah, depth piece.
In case he had to, you know, do some time there to help fill in for Saquon if he was there. But I always looked at it as, you get him and Breda and Saquon together in the backfield. It's cool. Mix it up a little bit, and then you reserve some space. But that happens, and it seemed like a couple hours after they got the deal done, you know, with Saquon Barkley, and he gets a $10 million 1-year deal here for this season. And then within the season, we'll see, or even at the end of this season, they can either tag him again. That's because with this contract that they got, they could have got put in that. Hey, you can't tag me at the end of this season, blah, blah, but it was left in there, and they have the ability to do it all over again, even if he plays well. So say with this contract that he has those incentives that he's got to hit as well. If he hits those incentives, they could still tag him on top of that and still say, all right, we're still going to tag you, then we'll still work out the contract. Yeah,
so, I mean, the big deal with this contract was, one, is that both sides came together and wanted to continue the relationship. You know, Saquon Barkley, as much as he wants his money, his payday, and he deserves it. Not trying to take that away from him, but they just wanted to keep things moving along. And what this also does is kind of reset that franchise tag that they were going to have to use. As now it's not the first year using the tag against Saquon, just like you mentioned. Now it's just like next year, if they still can't come to an agreement, they can still tag him for that first year. And move forward. But what it also does as well is it creates a little bit more room, a little bit more space to negotiate, because now they're going to have all year long to talk to Saquon's agent and try to hammer out a deal at some point and kind of lock them in. And that's huge. That's very, very big because with this deal that he's getting now, it's not a huge increase in salary that he's getting. But what it is the major part of it is that it's a $2 million prorated bonus that kicks in if they make the playoffs. And I think they're more than capable to do so. They've proven that last year with nothing. So you can only expect them to move forward. And then with Saquon, now, it relieves him. There's no more stress now. Now you just got to concentrate, come to practice, concentrate on football, moving forward, and trying to help the Giants win as many games as possible.
And we've got one of our know-it-alls in the house tonight. It's Paul Matty. It's with us already. Here we go. It says, greetings from Playa Linda Beach, Florida. Once again, I know he's been itching to talk to us out there. And it's big for Saquon because now it even shows like he played that little game too early on after, it hit the deadline to where he removed the Giants from his social media and stuff. But all this whole time he's saying he's been wanting to be with the team and he's wanting to do this. And I'm sure he didn't want to go into the season missing a few games and being rusty on this type of a deal. He wanted to be able to, I think, be ready and be able to show because there's also been interviews before with some running backs that have held out. I mean, look at Chris Johnson. Yeah. And he said that it took him like 6 weeks to actually get back to regular form.
Oh, yeah.
Get into it. So I think he wanted to be prepared for the season and get the most out of the season. So then he can prove his point and get that contract he's looking for.
Yeah, because the real big part of this, too, is what? Like, the elephant in the room is that he gets injured often.
Yeah.
So if he can stay yet again healthy for this upcoming season, now it gives the Giants not only the relief of like, hey, and the confidence to be like, hey, listen, let's get this deal done. Let's give him a raise, give him a big chunk of money, and let's move forward because now we feel confident that he has the ability to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and what's funny is after I remember the deadline hit and all that stuff, Josh Jacobs was another one that didn't sign his tender. It seemed like running backs came out of the woodwork, whether it be even the high-paid players or not, and they kind of like were making a stand via Twitter over the outrage that these guys weren't able to get their contracts, and now the fact that they've kind of even made like a coalition amongst each other and like chat groups.
It's a meeting of the minds.
Yeah, well, it's almost like one of those AA meeting groups or something like that together. Like, let's all get together.
It's RB.
RB group. The RB group, because they're really upset the fact that their position has been undervalued for so long, and they end up getting their deals where not. But when their colleagues that are fellow running backs aren't getting some contracts that they feel that they deserve. They're having a conversation about this and something that can be done because when this trend is happening here, the owners will always have the power in this whole situation.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, too, is the one way to increase your value, especially in that position, running back, the biggest drawback of that is the reason why they're devalued, in a sense, is because their shelf life. Like, how long can you last as a running back in this league? They take a pounding, and a lot of the guys don't last long. A lot of the guys, on average, 3 years maybe, on average, they last, and then they spit them out. Time to get a new one. There are exceptions, obviously. There are guys that are a little bit more physically prowess, and they're able to take on those hits. Look like Derrick Henry. Comes to mind, a guy that's very big, physical type of guy, hits a lot of people and gets hit by a lot of people, and he's still going to this day. Yeah, he gets nicked up here and there, but it's pretty. He's on the field all the time. Despite maybe one big injury that he's had, he's still there, still available. So he got big money, and now it's like you see the history of running backs and how they happen is. Yeah. Doesn't matter how big a name you have. Edgerrin James was like a legend for the Indianapolis Colts, but boom, one knee injury, and he wasn't the same guy anymore. So it's like that's the problem. The problem is your shelf life in this league, how long you can play and how long you can play at a high level for said team. And until running backs are able to show the organizations, they could be as special as hell. Look at Dalvin Cook, former of the Vikings. We called it. We said, hey, listen, something is happening because we're noticing things are changing a little bit on the team page, and Dalvin Cook isn't there anymore. Something's going to go down. And sure enough, Cook is gone. He's no longer a Viking. Now he's looking for a job. And why? Because injuries keep piling up on him. And now we're not going to pay him big money anymore. So it's next man up mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like after they got that deal done, we started hearing about some of the other things coming out. And now Andrew Thomas, they get an extension with him. And that's where it was for 5 years, $117 million,
yeah.
67 guaranteed. So they take care of their left tackle too now. So they're waiting for that chip to fall in place and get that done, and then have these things lay in place. So now they've got their tackle here. Hopefully Evan Neal can work out for them, get some things right this next year.
I think he will. He's only going to get better.
Hopefully have those bookend tackles like you talk about. Right. And what you said they did last year, hopefully this year now with some more depth at wide receiver that they have now, and now Saquon locked in, that they can make another push for the playoffs and do something here with this.
Yeah, and that $67 million guarantee is a record for an offensive lineman. So listen, they invest heavily on the offensive line. I know teams have done this in the past before, and it has worked. Like when you invest in that O-line or that D-line, it really does show up on game day, because those guys, those big linemen that you have, they're able to, like, whether it be offensive linemen that are able to protect your quarterback, that are being able to open up rushing lanes. And then on the reverse side, you got D linemen being able to penetrate and get after the quarterback and create some pressure. Those are big-time positions. And when you have just like anything else, just like a franchise quarterback, when you have a franchise-esque type of position, a player in that position, like a tackle, you hold on to them. You don't let them go. And this dude is still in his prime, super young, and you got him for at least 5 more years, and then, until you might have to redo another deal for him. But kudos for the Giants. They're making things happen. These are things that they need going forward to help them be more successful.
Yeah, and just I know it was brought up a few times too after this thing transpired, that how does Saquon feel after this whole situation's done, and where they're arguing over certain guaranteed money for him and a running back. Like you said, the longevity's not there, but I'm a star player. I'm pretty much the offense right now until Daniel Jones, can get it together consistently with, whatever weapons he might have at this point. Saquon Barkley, if they don't have him in the backfield, what are they? So, I mean,
right.
You know what
exactly.
I'm saying? So
he is a big deal.
A big deal with it. And they're arguing over certain things here, but then Andrew Thomas gets his deal like that, highest guaranteed for an offensive lineman.
It's a different position.
It's tough.
It's a different
tough
position.
Together, where you're, as a teammate there on that same team and running behind him, yes, he's going to do the work for you to try and help you out in that blocking.
Yeah, of course.
But it's got to be tough for him to do that.
I mean, I don't think comparing a offensive lineman contract to a running back thing is the right deal, because it is different. It's a whole way different of negotiating. Because now when you look at a different position, now you're competing against other offensive linemen for your deal. So your agent does his best to get you the most money possible for that said position. And when you look at the market for tackles, that's what it is. So it was easier to get to a deal and to agree to it. Because Andrew Thomas, to be completely honest, was on a rookie contract. And when you go from a rookie contract, now you're making 5 years, $117 million. Huge raise. So of course he's not going to bat an eye. He'll sign that deal. You know what I mean? There's not going to be too much friction. For Saquon, it's a little bit different. This is a guy who has been heavily injured at times, and when he's healthy, he's electric on the football field. He's amazing. And he is a backbone of that offense. Obviously, he's really what kind of keeps that offensive the offensive team staying on the field. And now you're at a crossroads here to try to get a deal done. And here's the crazy thing. I have to bring this up. Is during the negotiations for a long-term extension, they right down to the minute, they were only apart by $2 million. That's it.
Yeah.
If that's the case, why bat an eye on $2 million?
Yeah.
Give Saquon that $2 million, whether it be an incentive, whether it be a guarantee, whether it be whatever. Give him that extra $2 million, and this has all been done, and now you have him long term. So
yeah, because
that was kind of like a little bit of a, for me, it was kind of ticky tacky on the Giants to not just do it. You can construct that in a different way. It doesn't have to be $2 million right away. It could be strung out.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Separate. Kind of spread out through the years.
Yeah.
So that way he still gets it, but I just think that was kind of real nitpicky on the Giants side. I feel like they could have just got it done and it would have been real easy.
Yeah, because he would have been smart. Because people saying the Giants won on this one altogether because they got him for still inexpensive,
Still
for
low
that,
contract for him
on this one. But like as well as anybody, I mean that's why they tried to lock in Andrew Thomas right now because to get him early and lock him in for 5 years now because you wait another year, somebody else does his deal just right after or not. Then it's
now you're paying more.
It's more,
right?
And that's what I mean. So you're hanging on to Saquon again. Say he plays well again. Now you got to negotiate, and maybe you dump him, but maybe somebody else had just got paid again. Maybe Josh Jacobs again gets his deal,
right?
And then what are you looking at? And then you want to be
right,
near there. You know what I'm saying? So you might have just bought yourself a little time, but then what are you going to do with it again?
Yeah, because the market resets every year. There's some kind of a change where now you're competing against X contract because this guy just signed. Oh, another guy just signed. Yeah. Now, where do we fit him in? Our guy needs to get a raise, but we don't really want to pay top money, but we don't want to pay. We're not going to get the contract below those running backs. So it becomes a very big negotiating game. Mm-hmm. That's where the agent has to thrive. That's where the team is going to battle back and forth. It makes it more difficult then, just
absolutely.
like you were bringing up. So like for Jacobs, it's a very likely scenario that, next season or midway through the season even, Josh Jacobs gets a new deal. And because he was the rushing king this past year, he's getting paid. He's the highest paid running back in the league all of a sudden, right? Now Saquon's going to come back. He's like, yo, Josh Jacobs just signed for this. I think I deserve that. Well, then you get into the argument like, well, you didn't win the rushing title, and that's why he's getting paid that much. So
you were close,
and you're not as healthy, for long term. So it's like, you get into all those negotiations, those conversations about, well, you're not this, but you do this well. Well, you're not that, but you do this well. This is the contract we want you to sign. And then you kind of go back and forth. It's very, it's like playing tennis with the contracts, going back and forth. Here's your offer. No, we reject that offer. We're thinking this. It's just a lot of back and forth. So
absolutely.
Hopefully they can get it done.
Got a few comments out there. We've got no Donnie in the house with us tonight. It's been a long
time. Right.
How are you?
Wow.
He says hook him. So I'm thinking he just says
Texans.
get rid of him. I don't know. Mike Tackey, he throws out a scenario again like he does too for us a lot of times.
Yeah, what's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
He's an
Hashtag know it all.
He says Dalvin Cook is the first name he thinks of to replace Naheem Hines in Buffalo. But what about Zeke or Kareem Hunt?
We talked about that on the show before about where some landing spots were for Kareem Hunt, possibly where Zeke could possibly go, because we know the Cowboys are done with him and they've already announced they're not going to re-sign him. So Cook is intriguing. He's one of those intriguing names out there. But again, it's another guy that you're taking a risk on. Is he electric? Sure. But he has been getting injured a lot more often at this point in his career. Do I think he could easily go to Bills? Of course. I mean, the Bills have already talked to Dalvin Cook's agent and probably going to talk some more. So that deal that you're alluding to, Mike, is very very apt to be happening. And it could be in the next 2-3 days is when it could go down. And then here, Dalvin Cook is a Buffalo Bill, and then watch out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a good pickup, too, if you can, too. I know he's been linked to a few different teams. I know money has been an issue, though, for a lot, because we heard early on, maybe the Dolphins. But
not
then
a
now
running back.
Yeah, I know. But even still with him, what he's asking, people are still kind of like, I don't know. And then we've heard him linked to the Patriots recently.
Right.
But again, if he goes to a contender, that might change things for that, And then maybe even if they wanted to, if they get a Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt's been going cheap for a while. So, I mean, they could even maybe, again, if you can prove to yourself that you're a contender, some of these veterans will just jump aboard and go for the ride and go for that ring.
But here's the thing, is it's not happening. None of that has happened yet. Contenders have called these guys before, and they want a certain amount of money. Well, you're not going to get paid that, especially if you're Zeke and Kareem and you've been out in the free agency for this long and you still don't have a home. Sometimes you got to kind of swallow your pride a little bit and be like, all right, I'll play for $3 million. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just for 1 year deal, $3 million, and then kind of go back to free agency again. But very good, capable backs that are left out there. Dalvin Cook, I feel like, is going to be the first one to find a home. With Hunt and Zeke, Bengals come to mind, But Joe Mixon, it sounds like Joe Mixon is going to be able to play. He's going to get out of his legal troubles and what have you. But hey, it doesn't hurt to have depth, especially at that position. We've mentioned it before, where that position gets hurt a lot, and it does. So Kareem Hunt, Zeke, maybe you need to come down from your asking price now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about, latest signings, extensions going on around the league right now, and what they might mean for their teams and things. We just talked about the Giants and what that has been going on over the whole offseason here.
Right.
Now we're gearing up. So it's good as a Giants fan to see him here at camp now, and they're, to see this offense working together like it should be. And you got the additions of Darren Waller. So as a Giants fan, I'm excited for that. Another big signing, I think, for a team right now is Justin Herbert getting his deal in there. Now he's got, record guaranteed money for a quarterback, and then also as an average per year too, as well as another record. Going over top of what Lamar Jackson had just received in Jalen Hurts, and another team that's there, got their franchise quarterback, was on his rookie deal for a while here, and now they lock him in. He's happy, but now it's time to go. This team's poised, ready to win, and they have been.
Wait, hold on. They've been poised for the last 3 years.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about this with a bunch of different teams.
I know.
And you know what I mean? And I think the clock is ticking because they just recently even interviewed Stephon Diggs about, the Bills and Josh Allen and those guys.
Right.
Their clock's ticking to what with some of the guys that they have, too, in that nucleus. And they've been so close to lose. Look at the Herbert and the Chargers. They were ahead in that game against the Jaguars. And Jaguars came in and were just played spoiler and won 31-30.
They outplayed them.
Just like that.
They outplayed them.
And that's the story that you get from the Chargers as of late, too, last couple seasons under Brandon Staley. And with your quarterback here, now you got him locked in, and that money, you got to win while some of the other pieces you have around you are getting cheap, and get it done here.
Are still cheap.
You can't lose those 1-point games.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of that reason is the coach. we all know that. But here's the deal with this contract. Like, obviously, we knew this was going to happen, right? If you've paid any attention to Justin Herbert and his career and the Chargers, very good quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback. So you don't let franchise quarterbacks go. When you have them, you hold on to them. They could be really good. They could be average, but you don't let a quarterback, a starting caliber quarterback, go. So here they go. They lock him in. And to like the biggest $100 million, he's getting $100 million in the first year of the deal, which is a record for a player to have that much money in one season. So, Good on Herbert. Good on his agent. Good on the Chargers for getting it done. And when you look at that little bit of a detail in the contract, out of a $260+ million deal, he's getting $100 million in the first year. Yeah. There's a reason for that because the GM and the organization, the front office, did such a good job as they're planning ahead. Because they know that they're going to have to re-sign some other key players that are going to demand some money, and by being able to pay that amount of money right away to kind of almost cut that in half, so to speak, that's going to free up them to do other big deals later on. So I feel like it's a smart deal for both sides and one that was inevitable.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you see this with quarterbacks. The owners aren't afraid, and teams and GMs to just give them what they want for the guaranteed money. Justin Herbert, has been played so well for the last couple of seasons here. It was expected to see something like this, but now it's time, I think, for them and the Chargers and this coaching staff to start winning for them. Well, as we got some more comments in here, Joe, who we got in the house with us? Whoops. All right, what does it say? Sorry. Running off two computers again. It's rough.
Franklin Adams chimes in. He goes,
Franklin's in the house.
That's right. Will Joe Tippmann be the answer for protecting Aaron Rodgers? Is he a tall center at 6'6" as a rookie, which is quite tall for a center? You're right about that. Usually centers are like 6'2", 6'3". They're kind of short and squatty. He can pull black. He can run block. He can do the whole deal. Joe Tippmann is an amazing player. So we talked about him in our draft special. Joe Tippmann out of Wisconsin. But man, is he, like he said, 6'6". He's very tall for a center. But a guy that can do everything extremely well. So definitely is a starter right away, a blue chip type of guy, and he's going to work out really well. The one thing I'll say about centers, whether it be tall or short or anything, listen, if you can do the job, you're going to be a key cog there. So I don't have any worries really about his height because when you think about it, a lot of times quarterbacks, whether they be short, whether they be tall, they have to sometimes find windows anyway. You know, all these guys, a lot of the offensive linemen in general, your guards, they're usually kind of short, but your tackles are always towers. You know what I mean? It seems like. So I think that overall, this won't be a big reason why where it might be harder for Rodgers to throw the ball or find a receiver open. I watched some tape on Rodgers in practice, and I understand it's just practice. Yeah. But when you see some of the offensive linemen and how they're just getting ready to block and what have you, and Rodgers is kind of going through the motion and like making the pass, I think he's going to be just fine. I don't think that's not going to be that much of a factor, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Again, and he's a veteran. I think it's going to work out for him too. I think what they're trying to do for that offense is really big, and we'll see.
Improve it.
I mean, yeah,
that's really what it is. It's all improvements.
Yeah, improvements all together, and they're poised to win. But now it's time to see it. You got that franchise Hall of Fame quarterback now. Let's see it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing that kind of gets all the Jets fans excited is not. Yeah, I get it. It's Aaron Rodgers. We know what he's capable of, right? But this team last year, with no real quarterback, was threatening to make the playoffs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
They have a tremendous defense already in place. Then you look at what they've done the past 2 years on offense. Garrett Wilson, stud. They've added big-time weapons. And on top of that, their offensive line is vastly improved right now and is ready to really make a big step offensively. So that's what makes the Jets exciting this year. How much better can they be than last year? We know defense, they're going to be solid. They're going to be amazing.
Yep.
But how much better can this offense get to match that defense, and how far can they go? Could they possibly win the division? I think it's possible. We've seen them have the Bills on their heels. We've seen them kind of beat up on the Patriots. So they're kind of right there, and this is the moment right now, this season for the Jets, where I think you might see some things kind of flip flop in the division.
Absolutely. I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch throughout the season. Mike Tackett's in the house. He says this year Joe Burrow's base is $1 million. Next year it jumps to $29 million before he signs what is expected to be a mega deal. What kind of money is he looking at, and how does that affect the talent around him, i.e. Jamar Chase?
Very easily. I mean, it affects everybody. Whenever you sign a big deal, here's the thing: let's just look at Herbert, right? Herbert, they did it for a reason. They gave him that $100 million in 1 year for a reason, because they know they're going to need a little bit of extra space later on to re-sign some players. Whereas the Bengals, they might be stuck now. Yeah. Unless they can kind of figure out a way to construct the contract in a way to where they're not going to have all across the board a high per year base salary or a lot of guarantees and all that, but somehow construct it a way to where they are able to at least have a chance to re-sign a Jamar Chase. Because if it is going to be a mega deal, it's most likely going to be higher than Justin Herbert.
Yes. Yeah.
And then after you get that big mega deal, great, you locked up Burrow. You had to do that. We all understand that.
Yep.
But now you have that. This is a young team. So now you got other guys. You look at forgetting him right now, but the slot receiver for the Bengals. Yep. He just got a 3-year extension. And Tyler Boyd is going to be pretty soon to be being done with the Bengals altogether. So now you look at Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is one of the biggest threats in the league, and now you're going to have to pay him big time money. Can you do both? Can you keep both of those guys plus anybody else on the offense that is going to be needed to be re-signed? That's the issue right there, and that's what Mike is alluding to. It's all gonna depend on how they construct the contract. They could backload the deal to try to keep the cap low and everything, so that way they can get Jamar Chase. They can also maybe front load it. They can split it. They can kind of stretch it out.
Upfront bonuses or something.
There's also void years that they do now in contracts
void years,
to kind of. They're still going to pay them that money, but it's pushed way, way down the line. So there's a lot of different things they can do, and I have no doubts in my mind that they are going to plan for that when they do Joe Burrow's deal, is for that future contract for Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I agree with you too. Again, I mean, it is going to be a little bit of a problem, but again, they've been able to rework deals here. I mean, look at the Chiefs and what they did with Patrick Mahomes. Sign him to a 50-year deal, and then they're able to rework it throughout, the multiple years here now, so they could still restructure and keep Kelsey still involved here. And then he restructures his a little bit. As long as you even got that nucleus of a team that wants to stick together, and that's a good thing about them drafting Jamar Chase. They know each other, him and Joe Burrow. So I'm sure they would want to work together, try and stay together to make this thing work, because hey, your first year or your second year into the league and you're already making it to the championship game, you miss it again, but then you go right back again. Right. The future's looking pretty bright for you, and I think these guys want to keep this train rolling and keep the team together here.
That also helps the owners kind of loosen their pockets a little bit when they're saying, hey, look at all the success we've been having. All right, maybe I'll just give you this much money. Because that's the other thing, too, is the owners could step up. And I know the Bengals owners have been known as very cheap people.
Yes,
very cheap people.
Yes,
but this also could help them, too, is if they gave them a big, huge signing bonus.
Yeah.
That takes away from the contract. It takes away, you just give it to them right away. You know what I mean? A big bulk of that, and then they can reduce that cap number. So there's always ways around it, and it's just a matter of figuring out what they want to do going forward. Mike
Tackett says, hashtag more money, more problems.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hashtag know-it-alls.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is, and that's the funny thing is the way we look at these different positions and how they've changed. I mean, look at the days of the running backs and stuff like that, like the O.J. Simpsons and things like that. Your Hall of Famer stuff, Jim Brown, things like that. You're not going to see that type of guy anymore, really. So we're going to remember some of these guys' names, I think, and how big they were. I mean, Adrian Peterson's probably one of the last that we're going to recall that was that dominant running back and performing year after year and kind of having the longevity. But some of these other ones, I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, we're going to remember the flashes that they had. I mean, but I don't know how long the name of like a Derrick Henry will last. I don't know.
I think that'll last a long time. I mean, because here's the thing is like Derrick Henry, you don't see a running back like that besides Jim Brown, besides like all the Earl Campbell. Like when you talk about some legends that were just bowling ball running backs that would literally run through you. And you still couldn't tackle them no matter how many guys were around them. For some reason, they break away and they're gone. Like Derrick Henry kind of fits that mold. Derrick Henry is doing that right now where he's steamrolling through people. He's stiff-arming guys and throwing them out of the way. So, I mean, I feel like his legacy is going to stick around for quite some time because you're seeing the past rough, tough, bull in a china closet type of running back in Derrick Henry in modern times. So I feel like he's going to always have a story in the NFL.
Yep. But, I mean, it's interesting to see, like I said, the money, the way it flows for quarterbacks and some of these other guys.
Right.
We're going to follow a bunch of them as we go. Joe, there's a few more different signings you want to touch on.
Yeah, definitely.
Trayvon Diggs, I mean, you brought it up when we were doing show prep and stuff. Yeah. He's getting 5
years
for his extension.
He's getting 5 years, $97 million contract extension. Here's what I got to say about this. Real quick is
at least they didn't make him the highest paid corner.
No, they didn't. But here's the thing: is like Trayvon Diggs. Yes, everybody is infatuated with the fact that he's getting turnovers from time to time, but nobody is really kind of pointing the finger when he gets beat a lot. This guy has getting beat on stop and go routes left and right, and it's not even funny. Like it doesn't even have to be your top wide receiver, just someone that can run good routes and he can get fooled. Yeah. And we've seen him getting beaten over the top often. So he can be exposed. And when you're given a give, I understand that he's your number one corner and you definitely want to keep him. But 5 years, $97 million is kind of rich for me. Like, yeah, he gets turnovers. I get that. But you got to remember too, there's also a drawback from that. He's playing so aggressively that he gets beat often. And sometimes in critical moments of the game where it's decided a win or a loss.
Right.
So to give a guy this big of money, and I understand it was coming.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of disappointing that you have to give this kind of money for a guy that takes so many chances. And it's almost like he's not shut down by any means.
Yeah.
he can be exposed, and it has happened. So, to me, the contract doesn't reflect his overall ability. Like, he's getting paid better than I think he deserves.
Right, I agree too as well, because again, it was a flashy thing like when you see it and it's happening, but people are even trying to game plan to it and bait him into throws or jumping on some of the routes, and we saw that when it came to later on in the season, and for them to try and make that playoff run, and you see what happened with that. So.
Right.
I think we're going to continue to see some of that, and people are going to try and play into those faults because, again, when he goes into some of those other coverages, he gets beat. So it can be done. Like you said, he's no shutdown corner by no means. He's a good corner. He's good at jumping some of the routes, but if they're going to bait him into some, they can burn him really easily on some. So
absolutely.
But hey, if it's bad for the Cowboys, I'm happy.
You're good with that,
I'm
right?
Good with that,
You're good with that. Another signing I want to talk about is Cole Kmet, tight end for the Bears. Yep. He just signed a 4-year deal, $50 million contract extension, $32.8 million guaranteed. Starting tight end, very young. You kind of see you saw him last season kind of blossom into the tight end that they were hoping he would become. Yeah. And you saw Justin Fields using him more often. So you're like, okay, now they're building chemistry and everything. Good blocker. He's also a guy that you don't expect to run the way he runs for a big guy, and getting the job done. So they lock him up. They keep another young player on the roster.
Yep, I think that's good for Justin Fields, too. Again, if he wants to build that relationship with a guy, too. I know they added to receiving core this year, too. So trying to make a push, kind of build off of what they had late in the season last year when they were kind of doing like a fire sale and just kind of hoping for the best, see what happens.
Right.
They started actually gelling together better. Yep. And we'll see if they can keep it moving forward.
Right. So for the Titans, the whole Kevin Byard situation is now resolved. Kevin Byard wanted to be traded from the Titans. He wanted out of Tennessee. Yep. And then they kind of avoid all that altogether by restructuring his contract, give him a little bit of a raise and saying, here, just stay with us for one more. Just stay with us for one more year. That's all we ask. So they got that deal done. And then last but not least, the Seattle Seahawks, Tom Leiter would like this, one of our know-it-alls. Uchenna Nwosu. Seahawks agree to a 3-year contract extension worth up to $59 million. This is a guy that's kind of played extremely well for them. He's really grown in that franchise, and he's one of those linebackers that they love to utilize in the pass rush game, in that new style defense that they love to run. So I like the signing. I think it's good for Seattle. They keep another key player there, and that team is another team you got to be scared of. You got to be concerned with a little bit. The defense is much better, and they seem to just be getting better and better every year. Like Geno Smith,
there's one of those teams that are just surprising.
I mean, honestly, it's all because of Geno's improvement. Most improved player of the year last year, a guy that really kind of took everybody by surprise, and. Now he's the starting quarterback, and he's doing an extremely good job, and he's got more weapons now. This team is just becoming more and more scarier as we get closer to the new season approaching. So Seattle is one of those teams to watch out for.
Yeah, one of those sleeper teams. I know Frank, when I talked to him today, he asked me who one of my sleeper teams was, and I wasn't sure, but I was like, I don't know, maybe Jacksonville again because of what they were able to do last year and kind of surprise some teams. Right. Looking forward this year again with some added pieces. Who knows? But Seattle's a good one as well. That reminds me of, too, have you watched any of the Quarterbacks show on Netflix at all yet?
No.
At all?
No.
I watched like 3 episodes so far.
Funny thing you brought that up. Justin Fields turned him down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they wanted Justin Fields, and he said, "No, I'm good. I need to concentrate on football."
Wow. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Which is cool. Yeah, I understand that too as well.
He's totally focused.
Yeah, that's good. And I like it. I've watched it so far, and you get to do like what you thought. You get to see the 3 different types of quarterbacks at their position and where they are in their life, lifestyle as well. Okay. So you kind of get to peek behind the curtain, and you get to see what happened because we already know what transpired last year in the season anyways. But when you get to see what happened with, like, say, Kirk Cousins with his rib injuries, stuff like that, and what he was going through during some of those games, it wasn't just that he sucked and he was throwing just picks over this, that, and the other thing and stuff. Is one, he was trying to pick up that offense.
Vikings
the
fans won't believe you.
Yeah, and then he really was going through some pain and things like that. But
absolutely.
I think it's really cool so far. I have 3 episodes in, checking it out.
That's cool.
Everybody, let us know what you think even out there. If you guys have watched it so far. Mike Tackett might have seen it so far. Let us know what you guys think out there. But yeah, I mean, it's something to look for. You should check it out. I definitely recommend it.
I definitely will check it out, Jim.
All right. And what I definitely recommend, too, as well, is that you guys go to repsports.com to get yourself some Rays.
There you go,
We
buddy.
haven't done a promo for these guys in a while, but you know what? It doesn't mean I don't drink it anymore. I still do it. Go to repsports.com. Hit the promo code, put in Raise Them Up. That's our promo code right there, and you'll save yourself some money on your order of Raise. Raise Energy, it's great. It's hydration, gives you the energy you need. I'm drinking some even green tea right now, which you can even purchase at Dollar General right now. But in order to get the best benefit, you should get it from repsports.com and put our promo code in.
You get a better deal with our promo code. Is what we're really saying.
Absolutely, but
30% off. It's 30% off. You enter our promo code, Raise Them Up, and it's not just their energy drinks, which by the way are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they are.
And I will say this: these are the first types of energy drinks that I've taken, and I feel a burst of energy. I feel ready to go. But the one thing that is a positive is I don't have any crash. I don't feel tired after it wears off.
Yep.
And it's got all kinds of vitamins in it. It's phenomenal. So definitely try it out. And it's
no
funny.
weird jitters either.
We had one of our know-it-alls ask. I saw on on Facebook they were posting like, "Hey, need ideas for new energy drink because I can't drink Monster anymore. It's bothering me." So I was quick to go in. I'm like, "Hey, listen, check out Rays. Repsports.com. Head over there. Check out Rays. They got energy drinks. They got energy powders. They got protein powders. They got all kinds of stuff there. But the drinks are absolutely amazing. You won't regret it. And guess what? By the way, here's our promo code. And sure enough, they went over and they purchased it.
They're probably a happy customer. Absolutely. So Raise Energy. Get it now. Joe, every year we do our Madden re-ratings. It's that time of the year.
Yes,
Madden
sir.
24 is going to be coming out soon, and we always do our Madden re-ratings. And we do this because
Madden's wrong.
Madden's always wrong.
That's why.
I have this thing. Everybody knows me, especially even guys, if you guys have been watching the show. It's like, yeah, I have certain things that really just irritate me, to really grind my gears, stuff like that. And some of these things is when you call a player, somebody that's an active, a real life human being, that they're a 99, that means they're just about perfect on everything aspect of the game. I just think is ridiculous. And I understand the marketing behind it all. You're going to have your star 99 player or whatnot. And, but I just don't get it, and I don't understand it. But so then I've started looking at the numbers and the ratings that they give them for their, catching ability, their speed, their, this and that.
Attributes,
and I was like, what if I averaged all these together and then it doesn't come out to the 99? And they never do. So how can you possibly rate somebody a 99 if even the attributes that you put on the player doesn't add up to a 99?
Yeah, and the other thing about it, too, is that it's not just the 99 rating for us either. Another thing that bothers us, too, is that their ratings are usually wrong for the specific player and the position that they play. Like, when you look at some of these ratings, you might say, you might see throw power rating for Aaron Donald is a 20. How do you know this?
How do you know this?
How do you know he can even throw the ball?
Yeah.
Like some guys, even though they're playing football, they play a different position. They might not be good throwers.
Yeah.
They might not be able to throw it past 30 yards. You know what I mean? You never know. But like, how do you figure that out? Where you got a throw? You even have a throw power rating for him. You have a carrying rating for him, like a running back, as a 48. Stuff like that. Catch rating is a 42. Like, how do you know how well he can catch? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So our problem with Madden is that they're giving ratings off of every attribute possible in football for every single player of any position. It needs to be any attribute that is specifically for that player in that position. So if you got a D lineman, for example, obviously, speed is going to be big, strength, acceleration, agility, awareness. All those are big deals with the D-line. But catching isn't, throwing isn't, kicking isn't. You know what I mean? They shouldn't. That rating should be just taken out of there altogether. Do what is needed for that position. So that's our kind of big.
Right. That's
problem
what we're doing.
with
So we
Madden
decided
ratings.
to create this segment. We've been doing it for a couple years now. Everybody loves it. It's a whole lot of fun to do. So we crunch the numbers for everybody. So there is no headache, in the math and stuff. So
we got to figure it out for you guys.
We do once a week, and then now, so this week we're starting off with running back. So it's
everybody's favorite
10.
position.
We do the top 10 to see who breaks in it. So
yeah.
All right, top 10. This is the way they've got it here. Nick Chubb is there at a 97, then Christian McCaffrey 96, Josh Jacobs 96, Derrick Henry now in a 94, Saquon Barkley 93, Austin Eckler 89, Jonathan Taylor 89, Aaron Jones 88, Tony Pollard cracks in the top 10 in Madden for the first time ever, and Joe Mixon right there. So anybody out there even have a problem with this list right now?
Hold on a second too. Here's the other thing too, is like all these ratings are calculated from the previous year.
Yes.
So it's whatever their performance was the year before. It's not this current season that just got done. So the other thing about this is we're looking at it like almost like 2 years ago in a sense. You know what I mean? And to try to figure out, like, does that even make sense? Like, now we're putting it into this year's game, and it's like, that's not even this upcoming season. It's looking backwards. So
right.
I would say, like, and the other thing too is, like, when you have these positions and when we redo these ratings, like Jim was just saying, we're still utilizing Madden's rating system, like their numbers, but we're taking only the attributes that you need for that said position. So like speed, acceleration, all that is for running back. You know what I mean? You might even throw catching in there if you want to, if they catch out of the backfield or what have you. So all those things, spin moves.
Yes.
Juke move, like that's all part of a running back's.
Yeah, and they've even added another attribute I think that hasn't been in there before, Joe. As far as I can remember, I know I don't play Madden that often now and stuff, but now they got change of direction. They do have
change of direction
in stamina, but I think it seems like they're adding more.
Here's the other thing. Running back position right here. I'm looking at Nick Chubb's ratings right here. Tackling. He doesn't normally tackle.
It's like, I get it.
Why is that in there?
Yeah, they shouldn't put all. They put them all for everybody, and then just give them low ones there for some reason, just to fill in that spot. But why can't they change it? It's 2023. You can do a lot of different things now.
I mean, don't even. That's the thing. The bottom line is, like, some of these ratings shouldn't even be in there, and it's like every position is different. So why not have the attributes that belong with that position utilized, not just everything?
All right, we got somebody saying hi here on Facebook, Joe.
What's going on?
Who is it?
That's my mom.
Oh, it's your mom's out there.
What's up, Mama?
Hi, Mom. Hey, good to see you out there. Thanks for tuning into the show. So,
welcome to the show.
You get to see me go crazy here on some of these. So again, I'm looking at the list, and I can't argue with even Nick Chubb being who he is, because he's been a phenomenal player. I always feel like he's been undervalued. So it's good to see Madden showing him some love in this one. Yeah. And I can see Derrick Henry because of even the latest injury from last year and stuff like that, and Saquon Barkley stepping up. Austin Eckler is kind of funny for me just because he's like his stats end up being good throughout the year, but he's, I don't see him being stupendous or even like rated. Like, I don't look at Austin Eckler and say he's like a 90 or an 89, but, and then Tony Pollard. Yes, I think he's been that hidden unsung hero for the Cowboys, but 88 still is kind of, especially when you're looking over Joe Mixon, who I think Joe Mixon has kind of revived his career the last couple seasons with the Bengals, even though there were some injuries.
He took a couple ticks back because of the court case.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They knocked him down.
They're going to put that as an attribute in there. He's like legal trouble. 90. So.
And like Tony Pollard, is Tony Pollard like just being thrown a gift here because now
he's the starter.
Now that he's the starter,
right?
now he's definitely got to be in the top 10 because he's a starter.
Yeah.
He was electric 2 years ago.
Yeah.
How come he wasn't in that conversation of potentially reaching top 15, top 10?
Yep.
It just doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. So, all right. So I crunched the math here, and let's go to the top 10, and let's take a look at them now. So I'm going to keep them in the way they were, but I'm going to give you their new rating. So after we did all the math, let's go at number 10, and Joe Mixon comes out. He ends up being
10.
an 88 now.
Okay.
Which I think his other rating before was
an
87.
Yeah,
so
87.
he went up a notch.
We did not include the court thing. That's why. So that. He went up a point.
He's safe there at 88. So he went up a tick. All right. So next up at number 9, we have Tony Pollard now.
All right.
He goes down to an 84, Joe. How about that? So that's even a little more realistic for me looking at Joe Pollard, I would say he's probably or Tony Pollard. He's probably in an 84, right?
Oh, all right.
I mean, I don't know. I think he's decent, but I don't know. But maybe that might be not so much here. So maybe I
think he's better than that.
Yeah, because I was looking at some of the stats, and they really killed him on some stats. You know, I mean, some players they flat out hate, and I think Tony Pollard was one of them. But they felt because of Cowboy fans, I think, that they had to kind of put him in there because he's now the starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys.
Here's my problem with some of these things is you look at so players have complained before, right? Like, I'm faster than that rating, so then EA will send somebody to test them.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, how do they distinguish the rating from like an actual speed? Mm-hmm. So like say like they give a rating of an 87 to Tony Pollard for speed, right? Mm-hmm. Not even a 90 because he is really fast. But then Tony Pollard complains. He's like, hey, I should be faster than that. Okay, we'll send someone out. We'll test you how fast you are. Okay, he runs a 4 whatever, right?
Yep.
We had him at a 4.6. He ran a 4.3. Now his rating goes up to like a 92. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you figure the number is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, so
I swear some of them even too, it looked like because for the first couple, the first 3 attributes were all the same for all of them. Like it seemed like, or they changed one. Like, oh, he's a 94 and he's a 93. It's like, but then on one other one, they went up on one. Just so it's just kind of funny.
That's why I think Madden is always left open to a debate every single season. But here we go with our list that we have going for you guys. It's definitely a more accurate number for the player.
Yeah, and then they're lower too. They're not up.
But it is honestly, but it is utilizing still their same
stats.
Point system.
Yeah, I didn't give it to them.
It's just now we're kind of critiquing it a little bit to fit the actual player.
Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. Number 8, Aaron Jones. He's now in 87, which I think might have been the same as before, right? No, he's down. He went down a tick.
1. Yeah.
So there he is at 87.
Yep.
All right, Aaron Jones. I can't really complain with that. All right, Jonathan Taylor stays at an 88 right there. So he's there at an 88.
He was an 89
was he an
before
89
that.
Before?
Yep.
Okay, so, he was an 89. So he goes down a tick. Okay. Next up, who do we got? Where am I? I'm right here. It's not working. Way over there you go. Austin Eckler. So he goes from an 89 to an 87. So he went down 2 ticks here for Austin Eckler. So, again, for me, when I'm looking at these types of guys, again, I think that seems a little more realistic for an Austin Eckler on my point of view. I mean, again, I value what he does and what he does for a team, and statistically he's there, and he's like a Swiss Army knife kind of for that
does
team,
everything.
Which
does
is
everything.
Good. But I think 87 is good there. Moving on to the 5th guy here, we got Saquon Barkley. So he actually jumps from a 90 he went down.
Drops.
That's right, he drops. That's right. So he dropped from a 93 to an 89. So this is what we're seeing sometimes when we do the math on these guys, that the higher ratings are kind of being closer to. See how they're close within a few ticks of each other? Mm-hmm. There's not much of a jump because it seems like sometimes with the top 10, the first 3 or 4 are close, and then it drops a bit and gets into your 80s.
Right.
Now we're seeing it's between a few, just a tick or so, even a tie for some of them. And the one thing I think to note on this for me is that when I did these numbers too, when you do the averages, you're going to come out with like a decimal point here.
Oh,
a couple
yeah, of course.
So,
but we do a rounding system.
When you see that one's rated above another, it's because that, a couple hundredths of a point or whatever was that much better than that player. So that's how I did it, because on average, they were averaged better. So where if you see a multiple 88s or something like that, I'm not just placing one over top of another. It was mathematically them higher than that one. So that's how it laid up. Just to cover my ass on that whole thing. I'm not biased at all on this one. So
he's a little bit.
So there you go. Derrick Henry, he's an 88. So everybody's ticking down here now. When
we went from a 94
to the top one. So, yep.
So Henry was a 94. Now he drops to an 88.
All right. Here we got Josh Jacobs. He's an 89
from a 95.
So he drops drastically here. So, again, we're seeing no 90s yet.
No.
In the top 3.
Christian McCaffrey should be next. 88 from a 96.
Boom. So, all right, there you go. And finally, our number 1, Nick Chubb. He's an 89.
97 to an 89.
So there you go.
So here's the real thing.
The original, there's that one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So when you have the re-ratings, these are the new ones right here.
These are the new ones right here. Yes.
So they're so close that like potentially your number one running backs are Chubb, Jacobs, Barkley, and then after that you can kind of make your arguments for McCaffrey, Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Joe Mixon jumps way up then in that list. So Pollard ends up being on the bottom, and who knows, because this is just a top 10 that we took. We've done it before where we went a little further.
Yeah.
And we found out some guys jump into the bottom of the top 10 and kick someone else out.
Right.
So that's the other thing, too.
I was getting to that, Joe, too, because that's what we do. Because to keep these, when they start coming this close with some of these stats, that I start looking at the next three or four guys that are right just out of the top 10. And some of these guys do have that opportunity to jump in because they like them by stats or whatever, but just because, again, certain things, it's not cool, they're not there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like even because Kenneth Walker was right, I think he was 11, rated right after. You have the list there, right? Kenneth Walker, the third, I think it was right there.
So I have to turn the page.
Alvin Kamara's down there. And a few, Williams, I think, is there too as well.
Kenneth Walker is right on the edge,
cusp,
and
right?
Potentially he could jump into the top 10. Then Tony Pollard slips down. Alvin Kamara's after him with an 86. Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders is there.
Cordarrelle Patterson.
Right
85.
there. Imagine that.
Who knows? With some of the and that's the crazy thing is like some attributes. And the reason why they may make a jump upwards or low or dive down lower is because you might have a player like a Cordarrelle Patterson is unique because he's a wide receiver and a running back. And his receiving skills could kind of give him a notch ahead of any of these other running backs if you do catching or something like that. Like he might have an 87 or something catching, and all these running backs have a 70 something or whatever, and that might put him over the top of a just a pure running back. So it's very interesting with some of these players and the way Madden ranks them with their rating system and how they kind of distinguish them with these numbers. And a lot of times these are false numbers that they use because when you don't use every single category, you don't come up with nearly these ratings. And Jim made a good point off air is that these 99 rated guys, we understand it's for fun. Like it's creating an elite club type of deal for these players. Like Aaron Donald is kind of like a staple at 99 all the time. And then when you make it like Justin Jefferson made it this year as a 99, they made it a big deal and what have you. It's cool, but when you go back and you do the math, they're not 99. Yeah. They just kind of make that number like, well, he should have been a 95, but he's part of the 99 club now. Yeah. So make it a 99.
He's the best in the game right now, so he's got to be a 99.
Yeah.
And I'm just like...
It's not how it should be.
Yeah, no, because that's like the ultimate thing. That's like, what's the point of having... create a player and make yourself a full 99 and everything, if you could just be Justin Jefferson. But even if he drops a pass or whatever for some reason or something happens in it, because Madden even too, they'll just get dumbass wide open ones where they don't get, and you're like,
terrible.
He's a 99. How does he not have this? It's because his catch radius is only rated this much or whatever. Right. His spectacular catch is way up here, but his normal medium range catch is only this. How the frig do you have a medium range in catching of this? But then spectacular catch is amazing. Again, it blows my mind, the different ratings. But, Joe, like you alluded to, we do this. I had now realigned the top 10 running backs and the way it should be via Madden's stats. And here it is. Let's take a look at it. There it is. Boom. Josh Jacobs now jumps to number 1.
Wow.
Your rushing leader of last year.
Is also the rushing leader of the running backs.
Boom. Right there. Right here at 89, tied with Saquon Barkley and Nick Chubb.
Wow.
But he, again, over averages in, over hundreds of a point or second. There he is. Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb. Top 3 running backs.
And then take a look at down below where McCaffrey's 6 now, and then you have... Alvin Kamara jumps into the top 10 at 87.
That's right.
And Austin Eckler is at 10, and Joe Mixon moves up.
And we know, like we said, Pollard bumped out at an 84. So multiple other running backs jumped in front of him. So he's out in a few spots. So there it is.
Sorry,
There's
Tony.
your top 10. And again, people are going to look at this again and be like, no way, like this, Derrick Henry and 88 and stuff. And this is what's funny about it. It's like, dude, I didn't do this. That's what stats they gave him. Because again, they would give him like 99 stiff arm, 99 power. But like seriously, like any juke move, it was like a 52. Or, this where stamina was like 60 or something like that. They hit him hard on some of those other ones, and I'm just like, are you kidding me right now?
I'm sorry, but I'm just laughing because I'm looking forward through Kenneth Walker's stats.
Yeah.
There's for a quarterback, break a sack, right?
Yeah, breaking
to break a sack. Kenneth Walker has a rating for breaking sacks.
Oh, yeah, you have to, but is it higher than 12?
28.
See, amazing.
How is it not zero? He doesn't play quarterback. He'll never have that rating.
He might have broke a tackle or
it should not even be there.
He might have. Isn't there breaking the sack too or something like that or something?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Break sack.
Break sack
is 28. He should not even have that rating.
No.
It's insane. That's what I mean. Like pursuit. A pursuit rating is for a defensive player.
Defensive player, yes.
Which he
has a defense. When I did corners, by the way,
he has a pursuit rating.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Maybe they follow his personal life and to see how he does with women. He's like he pursued this woman very for a long time.
But here's the thing:
ended up hooking up.
But this is the deal: and this is kind of what we're getting at is that they have categories for a running back that do not exist in the game. Like you don't have a rating for, man coverage, zone coverage.
Yeah.
You don't play the defensive position, so why is that even in there?
Right.
It should be taken right out.
Right, and we don't put that when we average it either.
No,
Again,
that's the bottom line.
To what is expected of that player to be good at their position. When I did running backs, I did catching, I did run, power, strength, toughness, juking, spin, all that stuff that a running back is expected to do to be a good running back in the league. And this is what we came up with. Again, you might not like the numbers. You might like them. Some are different. I don't think Saquon Barkley now is, I guess in an 89 there or the top 3 running backs.
Yeah.
He's up there.
No, yeah, definitely.
But Josh Jacobs jumps right up there. How about that? Nick Chubb there. So, but I think
Makes
the biggest
sense.
surprise is now you've got McCaffrey and Derrick Henry in the 88s.
Yeah.
But that's the way their stats were. So.
And everybody's gonna be like, "Well, no way, McCaffrey's that low."
You guys suck. Why are you rating him that way?
But I mean, here's the thing that I'll say about McCaffrey's ratings: they don't make any sense. Like my thing is, I understand that
he could have throwing ability though too, because he's thrown before. You know what I'm saying? His accuracy.
It still shouldn't matter. But like here's the thing: is I know EA Sports they spend all year doing this, and they're doing it right now for the next game. And they do a lot of work, and I understand it's hard work, but look at McCaffrey's year that he had. Mm-hmm. When he got traded from the Panthers to the Niners, he got even better. Mm-hmm. Like, it was ridiculous to the point where, like, you thought, like, he was the MVP of the league almost. Mm-hmm. It was at that point where, like, he was so dominating in games for the Niners that, like, he ran, he caught the ball, he blocked, he did all these different things. He played wide receiver sometimes and was making amazing catches. Mm-hmm. So, and then when you look at these ratings right here that we have from Madden right now, and they're like, he's only a 90 what? It's like he should be higher up, I feel like, because of his performance last season was crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to take away from Nick Chubb, but like Nick Chubb has always been really super good. And he deserves that rating of high 90s, but so doesn't McCaffrey, I feel like. So doesn't Jacobs. So doesn't some of these players. I just feel they do I'll say what it is. They do a poor job of rating these players.
Yes.
Because I don't think that EA Sports as a company, whoever is in charge of doing these rating systems, and I know they have like a bajillion people to do it, but do you watch the games? Because that's my thing is like, if it's all about performance based, if it's all about how well that player played in that season, how come McCaffrey isn't higher? How come Jacob should maybe even have a little bit higher than what he has?
Yeah.
So it's like, my thing is, did you watch the games? Yeah. I don't think you watched the games. I think you're just watching clips of his highlights, and then you're saying, oh, well, he did pretty good, so we'll just give them these numbers.
They take advice from Stephen A. Smith, I think.
Oh, great. That's the problem. The guy that's really good at NBA knowledge, but not so much NFL.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, not sure. But there you go. That's our first segment for Madden re-ratings and
That's right.
stuff. We're going to keep it going. It's going to be
Definitely.
crazy still as we go through. But we really appreciate you guys watching the show again this week. We're gearing back into it for another season. It's going to be super exciting. Joe, why don't you tell these guys what they can do to help us out? And then
really, first of all, we really appreciate all of you. All you know-it-alls out there, we really thank you so much for the support on our show and how you've helped us grow little by little as we go every year. Do us a huge favor. If you know anybody, friends, family, whoever, and they love football, they love podcasts, they love shows, direct them to ours. Help us grow this football community of ours by heading over to YouTube, hitting that subscribe button, also hitting that notification bell, let you guys know when we go live. And as well, you can follow us on Facebook if you feel like it. Become a member, become a know-it-all, and as well, anywhere you get your podcast. iTunes, Spotify, you name it, drop a follow there as well. Become interactive. That's what the show is all about. As you can see in the comments below, we're going to interact with every single comment that's made. If there's a question, if you want to share an opinion, anything, we're always going to be involved. So tune in next week, Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. We'll see you there.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys next time.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.